I'm not a doctor. Everything here is educational, drawn from publicly available sources, and true to the best of my knowledge. Never self-medicate with plants. Always speak to a qualified clinician first. Today we have part 2 of my 3-part mini-series, From Poison to Pill, Episode 2, From Poison to Precision. Welcome to Pete's world of poisonous plants. This isn't a nature walk, it's a guided tour of what plant poisons do when they behave themselves. Plants make fierce chemicals to survive. Doctors learn to aim those chemicals at the right target, in the right dose. Same molecule, cure or killer. Dose and destination decide. Start with the heartbeat. Foxglove, Digitalis purpurea, looks like a choir of purple bells. Inside is digoxin, a glycoside that quietly sits on a pump in your heart cells called the sodium-potassium ATPase. When that pump is blocked, sodium creeps up. The sodium-calcium exchanger slows, calcium builds, and your heart squeezes harder without racing. That's good news for a failing heart that's lost its oomph. But the line between better squeeze and electrical mayhem is razor thin. Push the dose and you can get nausea, yellow-tinted vision, and dangerous arrhythmias. Beautiful plant, unforgiving margin. Medicine uses micrograms. The garden offers surprises you really don't want. And yes, if it all goes wrong, there's a specific antidote. Digoxin-specific antibody fragments used in hospital for life-threatening toxicity. Precision saves the day again. Malaria next, the parasite that gate-crashes your red blood cells. Inside, it chews hemoglobin and ends up with a pile of toxic heme waste. To survive, the parasite packs that waste into neat crystals, like tidying your shed so you don't trip over the lawnmower. Quinine from cinchona bark breaks the crystal maker. No tidy bricks, just chemical shrapnel the parasite can't tolerate. Artemisinin from sweet wormwood carries a fragile peroxide ring. When it meets iron in that messy heme, the ring snaps and releases radicals that batter parasite proteins. Think precision charges that only detonate in the right room. Used properly, especially in combination therapies, fevers fall fast. Used carelessly, you give the parasite lessons in resistance. Chemistry works, stewardship matters. Now cancer. The body's own cells deciding the rules don't apply. To divide, cells build microtubules, microscopic scaffolding that assemble, move the chromosomes, and then disassemble like railway tracks appearing and vanishing under a speeding train. Vinca alkaloids from Madagascar periwinkle, vincristine and vinblastine, stop the tracks from forming. No tracks, no division. Taxanes like paclitaxel, originally from the yew, do the opposite. They freeze the tracks rigid so the cell can't rearrange them to finish the job. Two different spanners, same factory jam. The catch is collateral damage to other fast-dividing cells, hair follicles, bone marrow, the lot, so timing and dosing are a careful dance. Cure the cancer, spare the patient, that's the balance. Let's pull in a cousin that often gets overlooked. Colchicine from the autumn crocus, Colchicum autumnale. It also binds tubulin, the nuts and bolts of those microtubules, but it's used not for cancer, rather for gout and pericarditis. In plain English, it calms the rowdy white blood cells that pile into inflamed joints or the heart's lining. Picture security guards removing the scaffolding so troublemakers can't build a barricade. Relief can be dramatic, but again the dose window is small. Too much colchicine and you've poisoned your gut and bone marrow. Respect the molecule and the molecule will respect you. Pain and inflammation, the willow story. Salicylates led to aspirin, which sneaks into an enzyme called cyclooxygenase and acetylates it, like putting chewing gum in a lock. With COX jammed, the body makes fewer prostaglandins that shout pain, heat and swelling, and platelets produce less thromboxane, so they're less sticky. That's why low doses help prevent clots, and why the same tablet can cause stomach upset or bleeding if you're unlucky, sensitive, or dosing like a pirate. Again, precision over bravado. A quick detour to the eye. Pilocarpine from the South American shrub Pilocarpus presses the rest and digest button, muscarinic receptors, to squeeze the pupil and open the eye's drainage angle. Result: aqueous fluid escapes, pressure falls, and in certain types of glaucoma, sight is saved. Side effects: you might sweat, drool, and complain the print looks dim in the evening because your pupils won't open as wide. A plant's tool used like a surgeon's scalpel. Opposite levers are everywhere in plant pharmacology. Atropine from deadly nightshade, blocks those muscarinic receptors. That dries secretions, opens airways, speeds a sluggish heart, and sits in the antidote kit for certain pesticide and nerve agent poisonings. On the flip side, Physostigmine from the calabar bean blocks the enzyme that clears acetylcholine, boosting that same system. Handy when someone is dangerously anticholinergic and delirious. Two plant molecules pushing the same control panel in opposite directions. It's not witchcraft, it's receptors. Now for the neuromuscular junction, where nerves talk to muscles. Indigenous South American hunters used plant-based curare pastes, often from Chondrodendron tomentosum, to paralyze prey. The alkaloid tubulin sits on the acetylcholine receptors at the muscle endplate and politely refuses to move. The nerve shouts contract, the muscle hears nothing. In modern theatres, refined relatives of that idea, safer, shorter acting, let anaesthetists relax muscles for surgery and intubation. The precision is stunning. Dose, monitor, breathe for the patient, then reverse the block with drugs like neostigmine that boost acetylcholine. What began as a hunting poison became a controlled, life-saving tool. Let's talk nerves and pain. Capsaicin, the heat in chili peppers, hits a receptor called TRPV1. At first it screams, burning, stinging, the whole curry house drama. But if you keep it going in a patch or cream under medical guidance, those pain fibers become desensitized, like a fire alarm that's been ringing so long it gives up and takes a nap. For neuropathic pain, that can be an enormous win. Again, dose, placement, supervision. You don't treat a sunburn by standing nearer the sun. Morphine next, the elephant in the pharmacy. From the opium poppy it binds the M-opioid receptor and dials down pain signaling in the brain and spinal cord. A blessing in trauma and palliative care, a blight when used recklessly. Mechanism clear, risks clearer. Tolerance, dependence, respiratory depression. The same precision that makes morphine merciful in the right hands makes naloxone, an opioid blocker, life-saving in overdose. Plants giveth, plants taketh away, medicine mediates. For blood pressure, meet Reserpine from Rauwolfia serpentina. It reaches into nerve endings and empties the cupboards where adrenaline and noradrenaline are stored. Less of those, less vascular squeeze, blood pressure drifts down. It worked, but with a price. Low mood and fatigue in some patients. In many places it's largely retired, yet it paved the way for understanding neurotransmitters and for better, kinder treatments. Even the ones we move past taught us how to aim. Right, time for pictures you can hold in your head. Back to the heart in plain English. Imagine a heart cell as a bath. The sodium-potassium pump is a tap and drain combo keeping levels right. Digoxin partially closes the drain, sodium rises, and that persuades calcium to hang around. More calcium means a stronger squeeze. Lovely until the bath sloshes over and floods the electrics. That's your arrhythmia, smart in theatre, stupid in the kitchen. Microtubules, a pop-up railway. In a healthy dividing cell, tracks assemble, chromosomes ride, tracks vanish, and the next set appears somewhere else. Vinca alkaloids steal the nuts and bolts, no track at all. Taxanes pour concrete over the sleepers, tracks stuck forever. Colchicine, meanwhile, patrols the depot and pockets the spanners so repair crews can't even start building. Different tricks, same result. The rogue train never completes the loop. Malaria again, because it's such a clean demonstration. The parasite's bin is a crystal factory. Quinine smashes the mold. Artemisinin hides a spring-loaded blade that only flips in an iron-rich mess. Two different tools, one doomed bug, both tolerable to us when dosed correctly. Eye pressure. Imagine your eyeball as a sink with a tap that never turns off. Pilocarpine pulls a hidden plug so the water finds its proper drain. Atropine does the opposite. It shuts down the tap's control and lets the basin widen, useful for some jobs, bad for others. Precision is knowing which lever to pull and when. Muscle block. You're texting your muscles. Curare-like agents turn off the phone at the muscle end. You can keep shouting into your handset. The other end just isn't picking up. Anaesthetists borrow that silence for an hour, then hand you your phone back. And pain. Capsaicin is the prankster who leans on a doorbell non-stop. At first it's unbearable. After a while the wiring gives up and there's blessed quiet. That's desensitization. Here's the quiet truth that links all of these. Plants evolved these molecules to solve their own problems. Hungry insects, grazing animals, hostile microbes. We borrow them to solve ours. But the body is a mansion full of locks. Get the right key into the right lock at the right time and you've performed a miracle. Jam it in the wrong one, or force it, and you've made a mess. Safety. Before someone gets ideas. Identification is tricky. Two leaves that look alike can have wildly different chemistries. Potency changes by species, season, and plant part. Interactions with your meds are real. Digoxin doesn't care that you only had a tea. And aspirin won't apologize for a bleeding stomach. This channel is educational. Never self-medicate with plants. Speak to a clinician who knows your history and your medicines. If this helped you see how a poison becomes a precision instrument, give it a like. Subscribe for the next dose of History Meets Toxicology. In our final episode, we'll dive into how AI is accelerating discovery from foxglove to you, the rise of cell culture and engineered yeast for hard-to-find alkaloids, and the near-term advances that could reach clinics sooner than you think. With just a brief nod to countries that back tightly controlled poison crops for essential medicines. Don't miss it. Subscribe and ring the bell. The next leap, AI plus plant chemistry. What's coming, what's close, and where regulated crops still matter.